All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another Blue Squadron guide. Here today, we're going to be talking about how to custom craft any skill add-ons that you could possibly need in the game for any class and spec in the game, catered to your play style exactly. This method will work for literally anyone and any class in the game. Okay, we're also going to be talking about what the best in slot crystals are for any early, mid, and late game crystal setups that you're going to need in the game, and also artifacts as well. We're going to be talking about what the best in slot artifacts are for basically every class in the game as well. So everything will be time stamped here. The video might be a little bit longer than you're used to. Let's be honest, if you're a Blue Squadron fan, this is a short video. This is going to be a short video. First things first, I get so many questions. What skill add-ons do I need for this? What skill add-ons do I need for that? What skill add-ons do I use for this? And so many people, I think, misunderstand what skill add-ons are actually supposed to be. Okay, skill add-ons are supposed to be customized to whatever you happen to be doing on your class. So the skill add-ons that you are using should be specific to the skill combination that you are using in PvE. So the first thing that you need to know when doing your skill add-ons is what your PvE combo is. Okay, you just need to know what skills do you like to use in what order. All right, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to craft a skill combo in general, and I'm going to show you that based on my UI is the first thing we're going to cover. My UI is always the same thing every time because I have a lot of people that watch me. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. And I try to make like learning classes. If you're interested in playing the class that I have on the screen, the combo is always the same. The UI setup is always the same, and you should be able to tell. It's like its own mini guide. Okay, here's, we're going to use pink because it's a little bit better. Make it a little bigger too. There we go. The class buff is always right here. Okay, these are the movement skills along the bottom of the screen. The right side of the screen are my pre-buff skills, okay, or utility skills. If there aren't any pre-buff skills, like Awakening Witch doesn't really have a crazy amount of pre-buff skills. That's where all the utility skills would go, on the right side of the screen. And I'm going to be using them in order. So I know when I'm learning a class, like what skills to use in what order. So I know I'm going to use this one first, then this one, then the next one. Okay. This one down here, that's a utility skill. So in this case, yeah, it's kind of an outlier, but these are my pre-buff skills, okay, on this right side. Then my PvE combo in order on the left side. That's skill 1. That's number 2. That's number 3. That's number 4. That's number 5. That's 6, 7, 8, and 9. Oh my goodness, they're all in order. That's crazy. Blue, how do I write on the screen like that? You hit K in the bottom right of your screen. You're going to see skill cooldown slot. You're going to be able to put anything you want on any skill cooldown slot that you want, okay? And you can type in whatever thing you want to put under there. You want to put the name of the skill? Sure. I recommend when you're learning a class to put the key combinations in on the class there so that you know what, like, you could just like, you could train your brain to kind of learn the class in that order. Okay. If you want to copy my UI, I'll leave this on the screen for a moment. I'll actually face a dark corner like this. That way you can see I have 1 through 5 across the bottom of the screen, stamina and HP bar, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20. That would be for my succession, like passive skill, if I was in succession, and then PvP and Black Spirit Rage down there, buff list down here. But yeah, that's how I do this. Okay, now let's talk about this. Since we know what the order of my skills is, we should know exactly how to approach your skill add-ons. Okay, so when you come to your skill add-on tree, the first 2 skills in your kit that you're using should always be your pre-buff skills. You're like, well, Blue, how do I craft my skill damage rotation for a class? It's really simple. Just go through. If you can't find a guide for your class, just hit K and go through your skills. If you're in succession, you can do it in succession. I'm Awakening, so I'm going to go to my Awakening tree. And you need to figure out where your pre-buff skills are. So what skills are just giving you flat stats without having to hit anything? Okay. In Awakening Megu, it's Fox Flare Flèche right here. Oh, that gives critical hit plus 30%. Can you guys see that? Here, I'll close this. Critical hit plus 30% for 10 seconds when using the skill. Okay, write that down. That should be one of my pre-buff skills, right? The Hazy Path right here, WRMB. Oh, all evasion plus 36 for 10 seconds when using the skill. Okay, write that down. That's a pre-buff skill. We're going to use that too, right? You need to look at and figure out where all of your pre-buff skills are. I'm actually looking for Fox Flare Stroke, SRMB. This is the important one. Every single class in the game has an AP buff skill, minus maybe one or two. Minus maybe one or two classes don't have an AP buff skill. All AP plus 20 for 10 seconds when using the skill. That means I don't have to hit anything. Okay, not witch. Exactly. There's like witch and wizard don't have it, but that's exactly perfect. Good chat. Glad you know that. But like, if I just use, you look at my buff bars at the bottom of the screen, right down here. Okay, so if I use SRMB, you can see, oh, look at that. There's my AP plus 20. Right? That means that's an indicator that that skill needs to be used first in PvE. Okay, that's your first skill. Okay, all your pre-buff skills get used first. Usually classes will have 2 to 3 pre-buff skills that they're going to use before they end up using their DP debuff skill. Okay, and that's the next skill that you want to use. So when you mouse over your skills, you're looking for your DP debuff skill. On Megu, one of our DP debuffs is Ember Claw Slash. That's all DP minus 20. Also, Fox Flare Cleave is all evasion minus 12. You can use either one of those, okay? And that's going to be a very important skill as well that we're going to talk about here, okay? So when you approach the skill, so those are the first skills that you're using in the kit. Then just whatever you want after that. I'll be honest with you, throw the skill damage combo together. Whatever skills that you like to use, you use your pre-buffs, then you use the DP debuff skill. Just throw the skills together. Who cares? Most of the time, it's not going to matter too much. You can min-max optimize your damage, but like you don't have to worry about it. Usually, all PvE rotations are: what are my pre-buff skills and what are my DP debuff skills, and then just throw everything else at the wall. All of your protected skills with your protected damage, just throw it at the wall. Okay. All right. Skill add-ons. So the first skill in my kit that I use, okay, is, well, the pre-buff skills, RMB, SRMB, okay? I also use WRMB, okay? But we're not going to talk about that on this one. Fox Flare Stroke. So this is why we talked about this, okay? Fox Flare Stroke, this is one of our pre-buff skills. This is the first skill that I put skill add-ons on, all right? Critical hit rate plus 30% and attack cast speed plus 10%. That's always the very first skill that you are using in PvE. To start every pack off should be critical hit rate plus 30% and attack cast speed plus 10%. Regardless of what your combo is, you should always be putting those first two things on your skill. The second skill that you use in your kit should always be back attack and critical hit damage. Always be back attack and critical hit damage. Okay? That means that all of your pre-buffs, remember, we talked about the pre-buff skills before. Every class is going to have like 1 to 2 pre-buff skills, maybe 3 pre-buff skills that you're using before they combo. Okay, that means all of your pre-buffs are on those 2 skills. You've made it easy on yourself. You don't have to remember like 5 different skills. Well, that one gives me AP, and then I have the skill add-on that gives me back attack damage for this one, and then I have the skill add-on that gives me critical hit damage for that one. Now, that it's all on the same 2 skills every time. So as long as you lead with those 2 skills every time, which will help you make you better at your PvE combo, you're going to have the pre-buffs that you need. Okay, so critical hit rate and attack cast speed, most important 2 stats. Next are back attack damage and critical hit damage. Okay, the third skill in your kit, this is usually the DP debuff skill. And you'll notice Fox Flare Cleave, in this case, is a DP debuff skill. You just put the DP debuff on there. Put all DP minus 20, all evasion minus 20. All right, it's already a DP debuff. Might as well double down. They stack. Put them on there. No matter what class or spec you're playing in the game, stack them all together. Make it easy on yourself. Okay, you can put them on other skills, trying to min-max, do this crazy stuff. But then if you miss one of the skills, you're like, oh, okay, well, no, whatever. No, screw that. Just put all of your pre-buffs on the same 2 skills, and then all of your DP debuffs on the same skill. That way, if that skill lands, boom, all your DP debuffs are out, and you're ready to start pumping damage. To fill the rest of the kit out, you're basically just going to put down on your big damage skills. Where's my twirling fox flare? There it is. I usually, on the next skill that does a lot of damage, usually I'm going to put my DP buff skill, all right, which is all DP plus 20, all evasion plus 20. So the 5th skill in the kit should always be your DP buff skill. And the reason is, at the end of your combo, you're usually using unprotected or just super armored skills that you're trading with. All right. Usually you're using frontal guarded skills in your combo at the start because you're trying to block a lot of damage. But as you transition into using super armored skills, you want to make sure that you have your DP debuffs or your DP buffs up. Okay. Because this will help you take a lot less damage when you're using your super armored skills later on in your combo. All right. Very, very important. Okay. And the very last skill that in your kit that you're going to put stuff on is, in this case, Twirling Retreat for me. Okay, SF. Usually the mobs are dead by this point, or they're about to die. They're like really low on health. And usually I'll put movement speed, critical hit rate. Actually, I'll put movement speed, attack cast speed on this one because it'll help me get to the next pack faster. Okay, because normally it helps me get to the next pack. I don't know why I put that should be attack cast speed. Oh no, I put it on Twirling Rhapsody. That's why. Because you need to make sure that your attack cast speed is always up. Attack cast speed isn't as important to restock because it's a longer, like, you've always got it up basically. But you need to put movement speed on like the 6th skill in your kit, okay? Because it's going to help you get to the next pack faster, all right? So like, you want to make sure that that movement speed is up, all right? And then you're going to rebuff yourself, which is why there's critical hit rate on here, all right? And then Twirling Rhapsody is the final one. That's usually the filler one. You can put what you want on there. I put Accuracy in this case on there because it does help me in PvP too. And these are kind of PvE and PvE add-ons in this particular case. Because, you know, Accuracy is useful in PvE somewhat. Not really, but kind of. But I use attack cast speed at the end as well. Okay, so again, you've got this move speed and you're rebuffing yourself. The reason that you're rebuffing yourself again is because sometimes the mobs are not dead at the end of your PvE combo, and you're going to have to do your combo again, which means you're going to want your damage back up again. Alternatively, you can do what I do on my Scholar. Okay. And this is an easier way to do this. So you can see, look at that Scholar set up exactly the same way as it was before. Okay. Here's the PvE combo on the left side of your screen in order. All right. Movement skills across the bottom. These are utility skills because this is the PvE combo and the pre-buffs right here at the start. But if you look at my Scholar add-ons, they're laid out exactly the same way. You can see hammer to the knee, critical hit rate, attack cast speed. E, hammer punch. Oh, there's back attack and critical hit damage. Third skill. Where's my DP debuff skill? Ah, there it is. Hammer Smash is actually the third skill that I normally use. Well, I use that in the kit all the time. Hammer Smash I'm using off cooldown basically all the time. But this is the DP debuff skill right there. Boom. You're using that next. Followed quickly by SRMB, which I think is Gravity Field. Yep. The fourth skill is Gravity Field. So there's all my evasion buffs up right there. Then I'm using... SF, which is Hammer Throw, which is my SF. There's my attack cast speed and move speed right there to help me get to the next pack. Then the final skill of the kit, I put on Hammer Spin just for fun. I put back attack and critical hit damage on here. Okay. And the reason you're like, well, why'd you put back attack and critical hit damage on there? Because the very last one, you can do what you want with this last skill. But in my opinion, if you look at the length of time on these buffs, look at that, 12 seconds, 15 seconds, 12 seconds, 10 seconds. Which two buffs are the lowest in the entire one? Oh, look at that. It's back attack and critical hit damage. So the ones that are most likely to run out while you're doing your combo are the back attack and critical hit damage buffs. So I just refresh those two buffs. Okay. So like, again, it's always the exact same kind of layout every time for every class and spec in the entire game, whether it's Ascension, Awakening, Succession, doesn't really matter. You're basically just doing them in order. All right. So first skill in the kit, as we talked about, attack cast speed, critical hit percent. Second skill, back attack, critical hit damage. Third skill, these are your minus DP debuffs, minus evasion debuffs. Fourth skill, DP buff with your evasion buff. Fifth skill is the move speed and attack cast speed, so you can get to the next pack. The sixth skill, if you have to use it, gives you back attack and critical hit damage again, so that you can go use the remaining filler skills in your kit, and you're still pre-buffed. It's literally just that simple, guys. It is literally just that simple. You use this on every single class in the entire game. And to be clear, while you are, like, again, if you're just mindlessly taking skill add-ons from a streamer or from a guide, and you're not actually using that, like, skill rotation, you're actually griefing yourself, like, really hard. Like, because you're not you're not actually using those skills in the proper order. You could have stuff all over the place. There are a lot of masters on the various classes, but if you're going to use somebody's skill add-ons, you need to use their skill combo as well. Okay, you got to use this, whatever skill combo you're using, your skill add-ons should line up with that. And again, everyone's always going to have slightly different skill combos for what they like in PvE. So like, again, this should help you. All right. So that's skill add-ons. Hopefully that was super useful for you guys. Guys, you've been watching the video for about 10 minutes at this point before we get to crystals and artifacts. Please remember to drop that like button on the video. Maybe hit sub if you really like it very much. We do put out consistent videos on the channel. It does help with the algorithm like so much. Appreciate you guys. All right, now for the crystal part of the guide. Everybody's asking, what crystals do we run? What do we do now? What's good now? I'm going to explain to you, no matter where you are in the game, what crystal setup you should be running. Because I'll be honest with you, it will be different depending on how much gear you have and what grind location that you're grinding at. Okay. So I have 2 crystal pages set up for you guys. Specifically for this guide, I just spent like 12 bill extra silver to make sure that I could demonstrate what the best crystals in the game look like. This crystal setup right here is what you use. This is, you can see it's called max damage PvE. This is what you use if you don't meet the recommended AP for a grind zone and you're trying to get to the recommended AP for a grind zone. So let's say your gear is not super great, but you're trying to boost your stats as much as possible. You're trying to get as much AP against monsters as you possibly can so that you can do the highest level grind zone that you can. Okay, and to be clear, this is the crystal page that the vast majority of players in the game are going to be using most of the time until you reach the end game, which we will get to. Okay, now this is the super expensive version of this crystal page. There's a much cheaper version of this crystal page. If you're a new player, I'm going to explain the cheap version. Okay, to be clear, gear and steer must have. Grab this if you're a new player. Gear and steer is the best bang for your buck value. You cannot go wrong with a gear and steer. Okay. Let's talk about the crystal of void Akrods. Okay, these are the upgraded Akrod crystals, and this is a perfect example of something where you could get something much cheaper than this. You can do base Akrods, and I have some as an example here. You can see the base Akrods. Those are only 370 mil. That's much more approachable. Attack, cast speed, monster damage, accuracy. This is a great crystal for you. You could just put on this base one, and then you're not at as much risk as if you want to put on this one. If you really want to min-max, you can get the really expensive one, but if you're a new player, strongly recommend just the normal Akrod crystal like this. Make sure it's the glorious one though, not the base Akrod. There's 3 different crystals. I'm going to show you what not to do. Akrod. So not this one. Don't do that one. This is the one you want if you're an early game to like mid-game player. And then if you're really trying to min-max and you don't care, you can buy the Void Akrods. My chat just bought the rest of them off the marketplace right now, but normally they're sitting there. Normally they're sitting there. But because I'm making this guide, they're gone. It is what it is. Okay. All right. So these crystal stalwart or fortitude, these are excellent bang for your buck, but I would not say these are necessarily a high priority. Only 264 million. So I'll be honest with you, as a new player, it's tough to do better value than this. So like you can pick these up for pretty cheap. Okay. In your first few hours, you should be able to set up no problem. All right. Now, ultimate Maclods. Here's another perfect example of something you do not need to spend this much silver this early on in the game. This is the most upgraded version of the Maclods. You need 4 of these. 4 of them. Okay, you need all 4. The reason is if you have 4 equipped, they get a 4 set effect. You can see on your screen right there. Yeah, it's not blocked. You get, for having the 2 of them on, you get an extra 5 AP, 100 accuracy, and 100 accuracy, 100 stamina, and 4 accuracy. For having 4 of them on, you get another 5 AP, another 100 stamina, another 4 accuracy, and some combat XP. And then each one of them individually gives you AP plus 3, max stamina plus 30, and combat XP plus 3%. So this is the best version of these crystals, but the set effect is always the same. So if you come in here and you type in Macalod, because those are 1 billion silver a piece and they're very difficult to come by. You can see how many orders they're on. Every once in a while we get an event where you can make them, but you're probably gonna have to make them, which means that you're gonna need you can watch my worker empire guide, but there's a node in Land of the Morning Light that you need to have a worker on right here. It's Dokebi Forest. You need to get harmony crystals, and If you don't have harmony crystals, it's going to be really hard to make them. Okay, it's really hard to get them. Some people can put pre-orders on them and get them. You know, it is what it is. As it is, I'm just going to assume that a new player can't obtain those. So you're going to look at these. Okay. Now, you'll notice that the Han Macalods give combat EXP and stamina. It's just combat EXP 1% and stamina plus 20. They're not actually giving you... Each individual Macalod crystal is not giving you AP. Okay, at the Han level. So, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're a new player, just do base Macalods. Just do 4 of these. You'll be fine. If you can spring for this and you can afford all 4 of these, because eventually you're gonna need these 4 anyway to craft the ultimate. Yeah, eventually you're gonna need to upgrade them. But like if you're a brand new player, just grab 4 of those. They're 14 mil a piece, bro. Like they're really solid AP. Bang for your buck. So that's where you're going to sub in on that one. Rebellious crystals. Ho ho. Those are really expensive. You're going to get 1 for free for doing the Kama Sylvia quest line. When you're a new player, you should be able to craft one with the stuff from the Kama Sylvia quest line. It's going to give you like a Black Spirit crystal and a Voltara crystal. Do not sell those. Make those into a Rebellious crystal, okay? It's a Black Spirit crystal, Awakened Spirit crystal, and a Voltara crystal. You can see the crafting at the bottom there. So you should get 1 for doing the main story, so I'm going to assume that you have 1. If you don't have the other one, it's totally fine. You can sub out different crystals for this. I recommend, honestly, if you can't get the other one, you can craft one from doing rifts. So the other one, okay, so you can get another one, guys, by just doing your dark rifts every day. Okay, and honestly, I'm going to take that right now. But here's the thing. Eventually, you're going to die. You're going to lose one. And I'm just going to assume that you're only going to have 1 at the start of the game. But chat is very smart and pointed that out to me, and I forgot that that was a thing. But like, let's say that you don't have another Rebellious crystal in here, or maybe you haven't finished the Kama quest line yet. These Ancient Magic Crystal Powers, these are much cheaper. These are about 1/3 the price. These are doable. You can put one of those in there. That's totally fine. That's about 500 mil. A piece on there. That's just 5 AP. You alternatively, you can put in another one of those. Yeah, you can put in another Stalwart Fortitude if you want as well. So your crystal page can look like this: 2 Stalwart Fortitudes and 1 Rebellious crystal. This is what I would recommend going if you're broke, or maybe you lost a Rebellious crystal. You just put another Stalwart in there. Is the smartest way to do it. Now, Brutal Crystal of Decimation. There's no real way around these. These are not very easy to get. They're monster AP plus 7, back attack damage plus 1%. I recommend if you're a new player, you're struggling with AP, I recommend just putting in the AP crystals for now that I talked about before. These Ancient Magic Crystal Crimson Flame Powers. You just put powers in instead of the decimation until you can get the decimations. Those are a bill a piece though. Those are kind of pricey, and there's really no way around getting those. So, yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of AP on that and some back attack damage there. All right, let's talk about the Corrupted Crystals. These give you critical hit damage 10%. These are the most essential crystals on the entire kit after the Gear and Steer, in my opinion. It's Gear and Steer followed by these Corrupted Crystals. These are extremely important. They're like 300 mil or so. They're pretty cheap. New players should be able to afford them. You can put these in here. Alternatively, if a spot is particularly back attack damage heavy, there's a back attack damage alternative called Crystal of Mysterious Darkness. Okay, that gives you back attack damage plus 12%. Technically, it is more critical hit damage than you are getting, or technically it's more back attack damage than critical hit damage, but the critical hit damage is more consistent, so most people just use the Corrupteds. Once you have this all set up, this is the best AP crystal setup in the game. You can see I have not buffed anything at all. I don't have a drought running. I don't have a perfume running. I just have like a villa and a church buff. I have 1586 AP, and I'm not even no vels, nothing. Okay, 1586 at flat. Like that is crazy amount of AP to not have before any amount of buffs are applied. And it should be the same for you guys. You should be able to cheat your way to a recommended grind zone. But here's the thing. As you acquire more gear score, you're going to end up hitting the recommended AP at a grind zone. And then all of this extra AP isn't going to help you very much. So the question is, what do you want to sub in instead? Now we're going to look at my tanky PvE crystals. These are the ones that I use on a regular basis because I have enough AP to run any grind location in the game. Doesn't really bother me at all. So this crystal setup here is for when you meet the recommended AP for a grind zone, okay? And you can start taking off these AP crystals. Okay, you can start just peeling these back as you don't need them anymore. Okay, and the first ones you're going to peel back are these Void Crystal of Destructions. You do not need these. Okay, so as you reach that monster AP required for a grind zone, these are the first 2 crystals to go. All right, the next crystals to go are probably the Stalwart Crystal of Fortitude. You're going to dump that. Easy peasy. Then you're going to dump the Rebellious Crystals. Those go too. Okay, honestly, I'd dump the Rebellious before the Stalwart, because the Stalwart at least gives you knockdown bound resist if you need it at that particular grind zone. Okay, but like you notice you're dumping a lot of crystals off in favor of tankier stats. This is going to make you more comfortable at the grind zone overall. Okay, but you'll notice that these are all subbed out. Then after that, you can jump all of your Macalods as well. Okay. You can dump all of your Macalods as well. And you'll notice, like, again, and you can do this as you continue to get gear gains. You're going to be continuously changing your crystal build. It will look less like this page. It'll look less and less like this. And it'll look more and more like this. Okay, so you're casually going to kind of work your way over to this crystal page here. And what I have going on this crystals page is, instead of full AP setup, I don't need any more AP because I'm already at the recommended AP for the grind zones that I grind at. You will find yourself in this position frequently. So you need to maximize your hit percent. So like the decimations you're keeping for the back attack percent damage, the corrupted you're keeping for the critical hit damage. Gear and steer is kept for obvious reasons. It's got a little everything on there. You're actually going to put Olu costs in your gear, which is 1% attack cast speed now. And even though it's only damage against humans, it's not damage against mobs, you're still getting 1% attack cast speed, which is value town. Okay, and then you're going to put your Akrods in there as well. And they can be the base Akrods this time because you don't need the monster damage. And it doesn't go up with the really good Akrod. You can see that only has 1%. The other one should only have 1%. Yeah, it's only got 1% on there, so really no reason to use the big expensive ones and put yourself at risk like that. Also, you're going to be using Frozen Crystal of Bitterness is one of the things that you're going to sub in. And these are value crystals. You want to be tankier at a grind zone? These are the first 2 crystals that you put in right here. These Frozen Crystals of Bitterness, I cannot emphasize enough, are super, super good at making you tanky at grind zones overall. Okay, I would put the Crystals of Bitterness in first, then I would put the Olukas into my gear, and then you're going to start putting in your Hooms. All right, and you can have 2 set Hooms, and then you can move up to 4 set as necessary. This is the same thing. You'll notice they look the same as the Macalod crystals. If you're a new player and you're like, well, I'm at the AP set for a grind zone, first of all, you should be running EXP crystals, but we're going to touch on that in a second. But if you want to use the cheaper version of Hooms, let's see. Okay, I would argue that the Han Hooms are good enough to spring for because they give you resistance and accuracy and some HP. So these are actually good. They're not like the Macalods. You just buy the base max. Nobody cares. These are probably worth getting. If you're really poor and you're a new player, you could just buy 4 of those. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. And then you can upgrade to these as necessary and then upgrade to the ultimates. The ultimates are a significant amount better because they're giving you damage reduction, evasion, accuracy, tons of HP, and resistance all in one like 4 set crystal setup. Okay, like really, really good. All right, and I use these at high-end grinding. If you're a low-end grinder, if you're like a new player, you're probably not going to want any of this crap. Okay, you're like, well, I don't need any of this min-max crap. All right, all of the crystals you see on your screen are relatively cheap, except for the decimations, which again I talked about. You can just put in whatever you want for those. If you want to put in at low-end spots, if you are over the AP cap, I strongly recommend, especially if you don't want to spend the silver to be tankier, the tankiness doesn't mean anything to you, just put in your EXP crystals. You should get a bunch of these for just starting the game. The game is just going to throw them at you. Like literally throw them for just doing the main story, logging in, etc. You're just going to put a bunch of these Kydex crystals in here. If you don't have those, you can type in EXP on the central marketplace and put those in. EXP. These Magic Crystal of Experience. There's some orders on them right now because chat is being a bunch of buggerboos, but like for the most part, you should have enough crystals to basically sub them in here. So that is the honestly start to finish of these grind zones. You never really want to take off your Jin Dawns. Oh, that's another thing. If you're a new player, these Jin Dawns across the bottom of your screen, you're not going to have these if you're a new player because you're not going to have your Karazhan. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. When you do get them, though, you should try to work your way to the Jins. If you can't afford the gens right away, just buy some wands and put the wands on until you can get bonds. And then when you got the bonds, put the bonds on, etc. Okay. And just work your way up as necessary. All right. PvP set. I can do PvP real quick. Yeah, so this is a balls to the wall PvP setup that I used basically across the board. You do not need to be this aggressive with your PvP setup. All right, this is a human damage focused build because I play damage focused classes for the most part. I play very tanky class. One thing, notable exception that most people are going to put on here. This is a Bong Wong tier. This is extremely aggressive. Most players in PvP are going to be running the Haite tier. And this is the one I recommend you run, to be clear. This one right here. This is the one you should run in PvP if you're a good PvPer. If you're really good at your class, you can run the Bong Wong like I do. But like Haite is usually what you want to run. It makes you a little bit more forgiving, makes you a lot tankier. Really, really solid stats on that. You're certainly not going to be running Girins. I run 4 Macalods, a bunch of human damage, Karme, red spirit crystals. Vipers are extremely important. This is all human damage. Crystals up there. I run Ulukas for more human damage as well, 2 of those. I run 2 corrupted crystals for critical hit damage, and then I run 2 Elkars because they are the best bang for your buck accuracy in the game. It's 30 accuracy on 1 crystal. It's just crazy. So the visionary of Elkars are 60 accuracy total after the change. Absolutely necessary in my opinion, and they squash evasion builds pretty hard a lot of the time. If you need more accuracy, I just take off one of these chins and I put on an accuracy crystal. Right now I only have 1 because I'm poor, but yeah, you would just put that on there. Okay. All right. Anyway, that's the human damage setup right there. Hunting. Hunting. Really simple. Everything is life skilling except for the back attack damage because back attack damage works in hunting. So just literally, it's just your normal build, but just all life skill mastery crystals, but with the darkness on. Okay, like literally that's it. Okay, life skilling. Fishing. Look at that. There's your fishing page. Okay, this is your fishing page. All right, just all life skill mastery. All right, and that's all of the crystals. Does anybody have any questions about crystals? All right. Now let's talk about artifacts and lightstones, okay? Transitioning into this part of the guide. Obviously, Kabuas are always going to be the best in PvE, but as on the new patch, as of July 29th, 2025, Vicious Shadows, currently the best lightstone setup in the game because it's got back attack and critical hit damage, both on there. Okay, it's going to require a strike, 2 predation, and a shadows. Sadly for you, it's going to be very difficult to get this because I've been saying this for the last few days. Everybody knows it. Yeah, it's going to be a little hard to get the shadow. Okay. I will tell you that it's not very hard to pull one. I mean, you can pull one of these out if you have Guru Alchemy, or even if you don't have Guru Alchemy, you can probably just buy Lightstones, like sealed Lightstones of fire. These are expensive as hell. If you really want to brute force it to get your Vicious Shadows, you can buy a few hundred of these and try your luck at pulling it out of there. No promises. It is kind of rare, but it's not as rare as Strike is, I don't think. Now, okay, so it's Vicious Shadows. Best Lightstone setup in the game, hands down. If you are over the AP cap for a grind zone, if you're over the recommended AP for a grind zone, it's Vicious Shadows every single time. If you're wondering what grind zone you should be grinding at, you can check out my guide I put out yesterday. Or just if you're watching this in the future, it's like the best grind zones 2025 guide. This should be up to date. It should tell you where to grind and what the best spots in the game are, at least as of right now. So that being said, if you don't have Vicious Shadows, what do you run? Target openings is a good alternative if you can't get a hold of Vicious Shadows. Alternative to that, anything with back attack or critical hit damage on it, or special attack damage in general, is going to be really good for you. Okay, so anything with back attack damage, critical hit damage, or really anything, or special attack damage will work. Okay, but Vicious Shadows and target openings are considered the best in the game. Now, a lot of people panicking. What do I do with my all-out attack? They're selling their stuff. They're selling their species damage. Those people are stupid. Those people are dumb. For most people in the game, in order to reach the recommended AP at a grind zone, you're not going to be able to run Vicious Shadows. You're not going to be able to run target openings, right? And if you need more AP to reach the AP required at a grind zone, you're gonna want to run the species damage, guys. You're gonna want to run species damage. That's the first thing I'm gonna recommend. I have species damage. I have comma damage. It doesn't happen to be on this character, but I do have comma Sylvia damage in here. That's 3 Fallens and an Iridescent. There's comma damage in here. Usually you're not worried about comma damage. Usually you're worried about demi-human damage. That's the big one that everybody's worried about most of the time. I don't know where that is. I don't know where my demi-human set is. There it is. Right here. I just don't have it on the preset in there. But it's 3 roars in an Iridescent. So species damage is always going to be BIS if you're trying to reach the recommended AP for a grind zone, unless you really want to go balls to the wall, in which case we're going to talk about that next. So there's comma damage, demi-human damage. There's also human damage as well. I've got my human damage in my magic accuracy artifacts because I use them for PvP, like really offensive set for PvP here. But yeah, those are, you can use human damage in PvE as well. The next setup that you want to be able to use for PvE, if you're not at the AP recommended AP for a grind zone, is all out attack. So Kabuas with all out attack is going to be crazy damage. It's insane damage. It's a massive amount of AP. The problem is it's going to take off a lot of defensive stats. So if you're struggling to grind at a grind zone, you need to take off all out attack and put the species damage on. The species damage is the safe way to reach the recommended AP for various grind zones. But if you really are trying to stretch and you need that extra 5 or 10 AP that the all out attack is going to give you, and you're not as worried about the defensive stats, all out attack is obviously going to beat the species damage at a lot of grind locations. The species damage, to be clear, does not go past the recommended AP for a cap anymore. It used to do that before the patch. Now it doesn't do that anymore, sadly, so all out attack should push you over. But eventually you're going to, once you have enough AP with your gear to reach the AP for a grind zone, you're going to take all out attack off, then you're going to put species damage on. Then you're going to take the species damage off because you don't need that anymore. That's when you're going to put vicious shadows on. That's when you're going to put target openings on. That's when you want those. Okay, so again, you're transitioning off of these, not like early, mid, late game. You're transitioning off of them like, you could have them at Hong Them base for a while. You could be running all out attack. Then you get more gear. Then you're like, okay, well, now I only have to run species demi-human damage. Oh, well, now I have more gear. Now I can run vicious shadows, right? And then, okay, well, now it's time to graduate to the next grind zone. Now I need all out attack again. And you keep rotating through. Okay? You keep rotating through them. All right. I think that's everything on Lightstones. Does everybody have any questions about Lightstones? Do I need multiple Kabua sets for each set of Lightstones? That's a great question. No, you do not. Okay. When you need to trade out your Kabuas, I have multiple sets because it's convenience for me. But if you need to trade out your Lightstone setup, usually for long periods of time, like weeks at a time, you're going to be using the same Lightstones all the time. Okay. So you just walk up to the blacksmith and you just click shop, and then you just buy these Lightstone extractions. It's like 40 mil to pull your Lightstones out of your Kabuas safely. Okay, you just pull them out when you need to, and then put the new set in, and then just pull them out and put them in. You only need 1 set of Kabuas. I have 2 because I'm privileged and have a bunch of gear, and I figured, screw it, why not? But you don't. Would you recommend buying a Kabua for new players, or wait until I can go grind them myself? Oh yeah, you buy the, oh god, yeah. In my gear guide, I tell you to buy it. You should buy a Kabua's around 650 gear score or so. Right around the time you're reaching like orcs, a little above orcs, like Honglim base, Jade Forest. So when you start reaching the like Honglim base, Jade Forest, and those upper end grind zones, you need to have Kabuas on for sure, no question. Okay, all right, guys, and that is the everything you need to know about how to make your skill add-ons, the crystals for the new patch, and the add-ons guide, or I mean the artifacts guide. This guide is up to date. If you're watching this, you're wondering, is this guide up to date? This guide is up to date unless I've made a new one. And if I've made a new one because it'll say so in the title and the description down below. Thanks so much, guys. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe if you want more. I'll catch you in the next one.